What else do you need? Sound, video? Let's just get started. Hello and welcome to another Solandy rant. Today we're gonna talk about the Metaplex Inscription standard because they've just released that. Kind of reminds me of the XKCD comic where they're like, hey, there are too many standards. There should only be one standard. And the result is that there is one more standard. I mean, you can already tell by my voice that I might not be the biggest fan of this. However, I haven't looked at it yet. Maybe it's great. And I want to have a look at that. The cool thing is though, I'm not working for Solana Foundation. So I don't need to be neutral. I can give you my full opinion here. Ha! So yeah, this is a very opinionated video about the Metaplex Inscription standard. Let's go. Metaplex, literally 3 hours ago, introduced Metaplex inscriptions and engravings because they want to jump on the bandwagon of Solana inscriptions. Because yeah, that is something that apparently the market wants. And as I said in the last video about inscriptions and SBL20, I kinda get it. I kinda get the appeal that you want to write everything onto the blockchain itself, like in the state. Fair enough, you can do that. But so far there hasn't been one universal standard. And then that Metaplex, what were they called? Libreplex. They put out a standard and Metaplex countered with this standard. So we just have a bunch of standards now, and that's okay because, to quote Anatoly Yakovenko, standards are hard. Yeah, anyway, let's try to be unbiased here. It's a new standard for fully on-chain and immutable digital assets on Solana. They're calling it digital assets, yes. Nice. So, most NFTs today have the media stored on external services. Yes, we know that. The external link, that's the whole problem that inscriptions are trying to solve. Put it all on-chain because it's not on Solana. And therefore dependent on another. I mean, yes, it is dependent on another system. The question is, can you trust Arweave or not? And since we're being Solana maxis, we don't. So we want to have it on Solana, which again is fair enough. So Metaplex inscriptions allow you to store an asset's metadata and media fully on Solana, removing any external trust assumptions and unlocking greater composability for on-chain attributes and smart contracts. I mean, I get that part for the greater composability for on-chain attributes. That is actually pretty cool, which is also the reason why I'm super enthusiastic about the metadata inside the mint account of Token 2022 tokens, because on-chain attributes. That's pretty freaking cool. So MPL inscription, yeah, go, let's check it out. In addition, we're excited to announce engravings, which I assume are inscriptions that are immutable, which allow for Solana's first truly immutable NFTs and inscriptions. Alright, the Engraver adds an extra layer of security that prevents any changes from ever being made to engraved NFTs, regardless of whether the originating program is immutable. I mean, you could do that with just assigning the account to a program that doesn't exist. Or better, assigning it to a PDA of a program. That way the program cannot ever exist. But anyway, I have no idea how they do it. We'll have a look at that. Fully immutable NFTs and inscriptions on Solana. Full stop. Full stop. Okay, so the marketing clearly goes in the direction of, we want immutable stuff. Fully immutable. Trust us. Bro. Trust me, bro. Okay, Engraver. Cool. We'll also have a look at that. Both programs have been shipped to DevNet, and you'll be able to both mint NFTs and convert existing ones. Aha, here is the problem. We're only on DevNet. Inscriptions will be... Why? Inscriptions will be numbered on a first-come, first-served basis. Why? If you don't want to miss out, we recommend following... Okay, I mean, follow us for the FOMO. Why do you need to I don't get it. Why do you need to number that? I already complained about this once. I will complain about this twice. Why the hell do we need to number that? Yeah, people be like, let's go. This is disgusting. Just accept you're late to the party. Yeah, so go fight. You know, as they say, any publicity is good publicity. So you're welcome, Metaplex. You're welcome. This is just... Inscriptions will be numbered on a first come, first serve. In short, FOMO. It is as it is. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be making this video at freaking midnight if they wouldn't have gotten me here with this first come, first serve kind of bullshit. Yeah, my filters are a bit off when it's past midnight. A bit. Fucking new standards, what the fuck? But hey, I'm trying to make this video rather quickly such that you are ready for when they release it on mainnet, that you can get your inscriptions on a first come, first serve basis. Freaking stupid idea to do it like that. But there's a good take. See, I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with Metaplex. They are the NFT standard, at least in the beginning, and still are for most NFTs. I mean, now with compression, but that's also Metaplex. So that's why I kind of like them. But then also, some things they do, I'm just like, you just want to stay relevant, don't you? Which every company does. That's the problem with it being a company and not just a public good. But then again, if Solana Labs would have kept it, then it wouldn't have been able to evolve the way it did, which would have not been as ideal for artists whatsoever. I'm not gonna judge, but I'm gonna try to just analyze what this is about and not go too much into whether it's a good idea to have so many competing inscription standards. You know how many inscription standards I would have made on Solana? 0. Why the hell do you need inscriptions? Solana. How did I pronounce that? Very good. Very correct. Very good. Inscribe my ass. Like Bart Simpson did. Good Simpsons episode about NFTs. In any case, there is a good take though. Wait, hold on. Seriously, why do we need that? There's a good take though by Blockurosaurus. Nice guy, by the way. Met him at Breakpoint. He fought for the optional counting. Thanks, man. You're the man. At least you tried. But at the end of the day, we have to build for what the market wants. Yes, that's a statement. That's like, yeah, we're not building good standards. We're building what the people want, which, you know, are two completely different things. And we can argue whether or not we should build what the people want or what would be a technically good solution for a long-term sustainable thing. It's always about the short-term gains. That's why politicians can't make plans for, you know, the next 50 years or even the next 10 years because they need to worry about the election in 4 years. So they need to have results in 2 years. And it feels similar here, right? We need to serve the market now. Not be long-term thinking. Who wants that, right? If that standard is obsolete in half a year, so be it. The market wants it now. So yeah, I mean, there you have it. It's a classic FOMO move. Why else would you freaking be counting? Anyway, I at least shared the counter so it doesn't cause riot contention on a single account. Great job. I'm totally gonna take credit for that though. Totally gonna take credit. I post too much. There. That's what I meant. Didn't even notice the summary bottleneck. Good call out. See? I told you about this. In my video, I called it out. You're welcome. See, hey, which means I have influence about Metaplex standards. Nice. I'm a so-called influencer. Yeah, fuck that, I really am. In any case, where were we? Bashing that thing. Yes. Now let's have a look at it. Let's be open-minded about MPL inscriptions. Right. Open mind. Solana project template. So, inscribing is the practice of treating the Solana blockchain as a form of data storage, which by itself is kind of a stupid idea because it's a freaking expensive data storage. But granted, it's data storage. And I'm gonna rant about this again. That data will eventually get compressed. So why not start out compressing it from the very beginning and treating it much like CNFTs? Just that you put all of it in the ledger and not just the metadata of the NFT. This Metaplex would be a nice standard. that I would totally support. But if you put that in the state, then I'm gonna be like, what the f do we need that? Again, to have yet another standard that wallets and marketplaces need to support. The poor guys from Tensor, there are only 2 guys, they need to support all of that. Come on, why do you make them work so much? I mean, they also make money with it because more FOMO, more whatever. I build what the market wants. Yes, of course the market wants that. We're gonna see how much the market wants that. But I'm recording a video past midnight, so apparently there is some demand from me because I'm FOMOing into this. So while other data stores provide their own immutability and data integrity guarantees, there is demand for data directly on the native chain underlying the NFT. Yes, there is. Because we can't trust them other blockchains as Solana maxis, can we? Features such as dynamic metadata and images, on-chain attributes, trade-locked smart contracts all become possible with inscribed metadata. And that is the only positive thing about this, that if it's in the state, we can work with it. So kinda it makes sense if it's a well-implemented standard that wallets and marketplaces and so on actually want to support. So we have 2 ways of inscribing metadata. Metadata inscribing and direct data storage. In both modes, the binary data of any format can be directly written to the chain through the Metaplex Inscription program. Yet another program that does inscriptions. Yes, amazing. In addition, the Metaplex SDK provide direct support for inscribing schemas commonly used for NFTs, such as JSON and image formats. Yeah, cool. Okay, so devs don't need to worry too much. Great. The metadata inscribing methods create a PDA attached to a mint account. Okay, so we're still dealing with tokens and we create a PDA that is probably derived from it. The same way metadata is attached to a token mint. JSON and image data of the NFT can then be written directly to the chain in the PDA. So you're telling me that's pretty much what we do with token 2022 metadata directly in the mint, except that we write all of the JSON and not just the attributes. I mean, we could also add an attribute JSON in our mint that contains the entire JSON file. Would also work with token 2022 metadata extension natively. But yeah, creating yet another PDA to have more accounts because, you know, Metaplex just likes to have all of the accounts, like so many accounts in all of the transactions. That's why I love their standards. Not. This method provides a backup of the NFT data in the event that the current data storage providers could ever go down, and means that the asset is fully on Solana. Yeah, again, I mean, that kind of backup would really be sufficient if you put it in the ledger. Doesn't need to be in the state, my opinion. But you gotta build for what the market wants, and the market wants it to be on state. Cool. Then, mint inscriptions also include a Why? Which offers a first come first serve, or FOMO, rarity claim when inscribing an NFT. I mean, really, this is just a tool for use our standard. Here you can be the first to inscribe because it's a new program and we start at 0 again. At some point people will get that that's stupid, but then that's Metaplex, and Metaplex has reputation. Reputation they can use to make people FOMO into the standard. But really, this is a marketing thing. This is what the market wants, and the market needs some FOMO because otherwise they don't invest. Inscriptions are useless without FOMO, or first come first serve. Using a shared counter to prevent resource contention. Smart move, very smart move. That I have no idea how you could even come up with that. Such smart people. The mint inscriptions are globally ranked based on their minting order. So apparently we don't reserve anything, but any mint is just globally ranked. The direct data storage can be used to the direct alternative to providers such as Arweave rather than as a backup. Am I already understanding this? No, I don't. So with metadata inscribing, we write the JSON and image in a PDA. And with direct data storage, JSON and image data can be written directly to the chain. Spot the difference. The JSON and image data of NFT can then be written directly to the chain in the PDA, versus JSON and image data can be written directly to the chain. There's no PDA, where do we write it to then? One small caveat of this method is that a gateway is required to enable maximum ecosystem support. Oh, okay, so the difference is, with inscribing, we just also write it on chain such that we have it there, and with direct data storage, we only write it on chain, and then whenever we want to read that data, we need to have some kind of gateway, some kind of way to interpret that on-chain data, to read that on-chain data, to display the NFT, because it's nowhere else. Because with metadata inscribing, we could have the standard NFT setup as you usually do with your normal NFT, such that it works everywhere. But then when you do direct data storage, then you also read that from the on-chain state. I think that's how that works. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just reading docs. The Metaplex Inscription program is queued up for a full audit to prevent any security issues, because we all know that once an audit is complete, there are no more vulnerabilities whatsoever possible. Am I being a bit negative here? Yes, maybe. I'm just critiquing your docs. Because if you say prevent any security issues, I'm like, you don't know how this works. This is not how this works. I mean, to decrease the likelihood of any security issues, yes. But prevent any? I mean, if you formally verify it, maybe. But not just with a full audit. But even if you formally verify it, you can still have economic exploits. Anyway, the intention is for the program to be made immutable within 6 months to provide maximum security guarantees. This is such a marketing text. Maximum security guarantees. Prevent any security issues. The foundation is open to moving upgrade authority into a community multisig. Multisig, because that's so much safer than a normal. I mean, it is a bit, yes, but sooner than this, we can find effective partners. What is the sentence here? Oh, sooner than the 6 months. Okay, it will be immutable, but before that, we're happy to put it in a multisig if we find partners who are willing to do that kind of effective partners, aka partners who are competent enough to let us deploy. This might be a sentence that they put in there for me because, again, in the last video, I did complain a lot that the update authority is not a multisig. So reading this, I totally feel like they've written this purely for me. But yeah, as I said, I'm an influencer. I have so much influence. And I really don't care if you put it in a multisig if you have the intention to make it immutable in 6 months. That's fine. Fix your things, do that stuff. I mean, for 6 months, you don't need to put it in a multisig if you have the plan to make it immutable. And once it's immutable, then is when we're talking. I mean, like with the Token 2022 program, that has been around for a while, hence the name. And they don't recommend to use it yet because not all the audits have been completed, but the program is ready to be used. They don't recommend it, but it's ready, and eventually it will also become immutable. So there, I don't really mind that it's not in a multisig. My point here is, the difference is the Token 2022 program has been in development for a while, and they're improving it, and they let people use it, but they don't recommend it yet until it's ready. Whereas this is creating FOMO for what the market wants. So they need to quickly push that out, right? There ain't no time for waiting for the audits and then waiting 6 months until we have fixed it all before we start the inscription process, because obviously people need to FOMO into this. Otherwise it becomes irrelevant and other standards become dominant. So yeah, there is a fight going on. Metaplex is fighting that fight. And I can't blame them. I mean, that's their business. That's what they do. Speaking of business, you think there'll be royalties on this? I don't know. We'll see in 6 months. Okay, so there's an APL inscription program. Nice. Fucking gay. And we have a JavaScript and a Rust client. What was here? Oh, the Engraver. Oh, let's also go through the Engraver. Metaplex engravings provide an additional step in the direction of immutability beyond the scope of standard Solana programs. For any creators unsatisfied with the regular immutable NFTs. Yes, because immutable NFTs theoretically can still be changed by the token metadata program because that program is not immutable. And so theoretically that program could still change those accounts even though the authority is disabled. So the program doesn't allow somebody to change that in the current state. But if the program gets updated to not care about that anymore, or to close accounts or whatever, so if somebody malicious would get the update authority of the program, then they could change the NFTs. So they're not truly immutable. That's the backstory of this. Yeah, that's exactly what you write here. Meaning the users must trust the authors of the program. Yeah, that's a whole story with bug fixes. That's why it's not immutable yet, blah, blah, blah. All program deployers should maintain security best practices such as keeping private keys in a multisig to prevent deploy key theft and malicious program changes that could result in unwanted account changes. Which, in token metadata's case, would be changing the people's NFTs. They can't change the ownership of the underlying token because the token program is already immutable, but the metadata stuff they could change. And for P NFTs, since the tokens are frozen, if token metadata would go down, be compromised in any way, then they're screwed because we can't transfer them anymore because the transferring relies on the token metadata program, which is one reason why I don't like that PNFT standard. But with regular NFTs that are not PNFTs, they would just be regular SPL tokens, and then we could just add some other external metadata to them, and the tokens themselves could stay intact, even if the token metadata program would be compromised. Anyway, that's details that you might want to know or not. Continuing about Engraver, while Metaplex uses extremely tough security practices, some users have expressed concern. To mitigate this concern, Metaplex has developed an additional program, the Engraver, that can assume ownership of any Solana account, preventing the originating program, such as token metadata, from modifying the account's contents. The Engraver would be an immutable program itself and therefore not prone to the issue of Solana's program upgrade authority. So apparently this Engraver is immutable, thus we should be able to trust it, they say. And yes, we have the source code and we can probably check that. And the Metaplex Engraver program is queued up for full audit immutable as soon as possible. Okay, so it's not fully immutable yet, but will be. Again, can trust that. So what does that actually do? That Engraver, because I didn't fully get that yet and I kind of want to understand this. Again, I don't want to go into the technical details here of how to create your Metaplex inscription. Maybe that's gonna be a future video. Let me know in the comments if you want that. But I want to understand how it works. Because right now I don't feel all the FOMO. I mean, it's still just on DevNet. I might. Let me know if an influencer like me should totally make a video before they push that on mainnet, such that you can learn how to do that properly. Or if you manage to do that yourself. I really don't want to get too involved with this, but I do want to understand it such that I can have an informed opinion, because maybe that standard really is cool. And I mean, that Engraver idea sounds actually kind of cool. So let's have a look at that, what that actually does. Engraver, source code. Should we look at that in Visual Studio? It's probably better. And we clone this. And while we're at it, we'll also clone this. There we go. So we have the Engraver and inscriptions. Let's start with the Engraver, because I just want to know what that does. Process instruction, processor, engrave instruction, process engrave, process engrave. Engraving NFT, checking. So it still seems like a regular Metaplex NFT. We have the metadata account and the edition account and the mint. We check some PDAs. So metadata info, program ID, and it's just the owner check that we own this metadata info. Oh, so that's not the metadata account from Metaplex. No, this is the one. So are we here checking that the metadata account was assigned to our program? I think that's what we do here, yeah? And then we engrave the metadata, realloc, serialized data. The data comes from the instruction data. And then the same for the edition. Why do we reallocate both of them to this size? Ah, okay, so it's either metadata or edition that we engrave. Got it. Okay. So it's not both. We're not reallocating both, but there's a match somewhere. Okay, yeah. So whether it's an edition or the metadata that we engrave. Okay. So if we engrave the metadata, we mem copy into the metadata account serialized data. Okay, so essentially we write the serialized data into the metadata account. Or if we engrave the edition, then we write the serialized data into the edition account. Okay. And since that worked, we can be sure that do we set the owner? No, we don't. That comment is BS, but we do check that the owner was changed and now it cannot be modified by token metadata anymore because we did make sure that we own it. We, the engraver, owns the metadata account. And because the engraver will be immutable and it will never assign it to some other program anymore, we can be sure that that's forever owned by this program and can therefore never be changed because the program doesn't change anything anymore. Again, my idea would still be you might as well set the owner to something that doesn't exist, like a random PDA. I don't know why they don't do it like that and have their own program here then. That's fair. I mean, yeah, probably a good reason for it that I don't understand yet, and I don't need to. It's freaking past midnight. Okay, what else is interesting? State, no state. We've got instruction. So either we engrave the metadata account or we engrave the edition account. Errors, yeah. Okay, cool. So that program is pretty simple. And all it does is write some data to the metadata or edition account to engrave it there. Keep it forever. But the address stays the same. So the PDA is still derived with the MPL token metadata program. Still the same seeds, metadata, then the token metadata program ID, and then the mint. That's still the address for the PDA. So it still works the way usual Solana NFTs work. It's still at that address. It's just now owned by a different program. And the owned by a different program, obviously the assigning needs to be done through MPL token metadata because we here in this program can't change the owner because we don't own it. So that needs to happen one step outside in MPL token metadata. Actually, do we want to have a look at that? So that would need to be in token metadata. Clone that too, why not? We like to clone today. So token metadata. Okay, so really don't find anything. My expectation kind of is that the MPL token metadata will get an instruction to do an engrave, thereby assigning the account to the engrave program, because I don't see how else it would work. And maybe that's just not implemented yet because I don't find it in the source code. Or maybe I didn't look correctly. But anyway, not so important that we actually find that. I would actually much rather find the part of that counter or look at inscriptions in general. So let's check that program. That's gonna be a bit more interesting. Maybe start with the state. So inscription metadata. We have a key, a bump, the state, the rank. Because yes, that is so important to have them damn inscriptions ranked. So this is 8 bytes of FOMO. The inscription bump, okay, and update authorities. Okay, shard has a key again, a bump, a shard number, and a count. That kind of makes sense. Okay, let's go. Instructions. Initialize. Initialize from mint. That's when we initialize the inscription and metadata account as a mint PDA. So that was, I think, the difference. That was the pure data, and that was the metadata inscribing, and the other one was the data, direct data. Okay, writing data. It's just a mem copy of the data into the inscription account. Okay, seems quite simple, just writing some data. Initialize, let's do the pure without the mint. Yeah, some checks again. Authority, signer checks. Don't forget them. Checking that the program is actually the right program and stuff. Then we do a create account. Inscription metadata, inscription rank is shard.count. Okay, so they do it in shards. Did I read that wrong with shared? It's shards. Yeah, we sharded the counter. I just can't read. It's past midnight. I can never read, but especially not past midnight. It's not shared, it's sharded. Because we take some inspiration from the big brother Ethereum, where sharding is the thing to do. And to a degree, yes, it makes sense. The more shards you have, the better you can parallelize. So essentially, we're just sharding this rank. Okay, fine. At our current shard, we get the count, multiply it with a shard count, and we add the shard number. Shard count is 32. Ah, okay, now I get it. Now I get it. They're rotating through. There are 32 shard accounts. What's standing here is count times shard count plus shard number. So we have 32 shards. Each shard has a count and we count plus 1. I mean, that makes sense. When we use that inscription number, then we add 1. So let's see what numbers shard 0 would produce. In the first one, let's say count is 0 times 32 is 0. And then the next one, when the count is 1, then that's 32 and so on. 64, 96 and so on. Okay, so one shard produces every 30-second number. That makes sense. The other 31 shards produce the numbers in between. Okay, so that makes sense. So we just have 32 shards and we rotate da 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 da, and when we have all 32, we start with the 0th one again. Okay, so that's actually super simple. It's just late and my brain is slow. But I now understand it. That's actually a nice solution. The shard, by the way, comes from inscription shard derived from slice from the inscription shard account. So that's just an account that we have to provide to this initialize instruction. How do they make sure that they're used one by one? Like, how would I not just use the shard that is the lowest or just run up one shard? The synchronization between shards would still be interesting to me. Or is it the best effort, right? Use the one that has the lowest number, kind of. But anyway, this is something that we can have a look at if we really want to get that low inscription number, because we FOMO into this, because that's so stupid, because inscriptions are numbered. Okay, whatever. But we understand how that sharding works. Okay, perfect. Then we create another account with our program. And again, we write the inscription metadata to the metadata account. So that's now the inscriptions metadata, where we, for instance, wrote the inscription rank. Inscription metadata, you know, that's this stuff, like the rank and the bump and whatever. That's what we write on initialize. What else do I want to look at, actually? I mean, I think I got a good idea of what that thing is about. Simple program for writing JSON bytes on chain. MPL JSON. That seems to have been the working title for the inscriptions. Maybe. Making inscription rank non-optional. Every inscription needs to have a rank. Yeah. Give the market what the market wants. Right? That's what the market wants. Obviously, that's what the market wants. Okay, but I'll leave it. I don't want to analyze everything here. I mean, we could now go through how to do it because it's in UMI. Metaplex is doing a pretty decent job in keeping that library up to date. So I'm assuming that it just works out of the box to create inscriptions. And I don't want to find out. At least not today. UMI plugin, add create MPL inscription program. Inscription, program ID, and mint. That's how the PDA is derived. We saw that earlier as well. Oh, I think they're using Kenobi to generate that. Yep, Kenobi. That's pretty cool. Kenobi is pretty cool. So they can auto-generate that library. It's pretty neat. And that automatically builds the instructions. It's pretty cool. So we can just call the initialize context and accounts. Accounts are the following, because there we don't need any instruction data. In the write data, we'll need instruction data. So then it will look write data with input accounts and instruction data, and the instruction data a uint8 array. So just the raw data. And the cool thing is all of that is auto-generated. That's so fun. Yeah, cool. So I see how it works. And I'm not gonna try it. I'm gonna reserve a separate video just for that. Let me know in the comments if you want to see that. I kind of don't want to make it. I mean, it's self-explanatory anyway, right? If you want to work with Metaplex inscriptions, be my guest. But for me, I've had enough. Okay, how do we conclude this? I mean, the Metaplex inscription standard is yet another inscription standard on Solana that allows you to inscribe assets onto the blockchain Isn't that great? We all want that. The market wants that. Well, give the market what the market needs, eh? I personally don't have a strong opinion for or against that. People are probably going to use it, especially in the beginning. They're going to FOMO for the low numbers. And then we will see if it's a long-term sustainable solution. It doesn't need to be. It could be. We will see. I'm not here to make predictions or economical forecasts or whatever. I'm just showing you the tech that is out there. And that tech is out there. You can use it, you don't need to use it. And as with many things, we will see if that's the one that catches on. We will see if inscriptions are a long-term thing or if it's just a current hype. Kind of sounds more like a current hype, as with most things in crypto. And Metaplex is taking part in that, serving the hype, which is fair enough. But I am gonna go to sleep now. Since we're not on mainnet anyway, I don't need to do an all-nighter to figure out how to mint myself an inscription early, because I have time to prepare. Or just not mint freaking inscriptions, because why the f would I do that? What would I inscribe? Overall, maybe let's say it's an okay implementation. As far as I've seen, I don't really see why we need another standard for that, but that's just because I don't really see why we really need inscriptions. My take is that I would prefer to see that in a compressed way. So yes, put it in the ledger and don't put it in the state. That I would be perfectly fine with. Like that I would see, yeah, in the state, don't really get it. On the other hand, yes, we also don't want to rely on indexes, okay. But then again, all the wallets and stuff, they already rely on indexes to serve all the metadata, because all that stuff will also need to get indexed, all the inscriptions. So you rely on an indexer anyway. So why not just give it to the indexer? We still have it in the backup in the ledger. But anyway, that's how I would develop yet another standard, which we totally don't need, because we don't need yet another standard. But here we have another one, provided by Metaplex. If I say Metaplex a few more times, I do good advertising for them. Metaplex, 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 Metaplex. Yes, you're welcome, Metaplex. What was my point? I had a completely different point. The only thing that I really don't like is that numbering. The sharding is well implemented though. I mean, I kind of like that they included that, such that more bots can land transactions at the same time, because it can be parallelized. This is going to be so hard botted, I tell you. That's going to be interesting. There's definitely going to be some botting around this. I can't imagine how there wouldn't be countless bots trying to get the low numbers, which again is just stupid. You literally don't need a number for the inscription. Why? Because it's derived from the mint anyway. Does every metadata account have a number? No, because why would they? Numbering them is just utterly useless. I mean, it's like numbering all of the NFTs on Solana. I mean, you can do it. Does it provide any value? Not really, because you can still see when it was minted, and the earlier it was minted, the earlier it is. You don't need to also write that number into the state. But when you have that number written into the state, it's easy to see and it's easier to sell low numbers. Thus, the market wants it, because the market wants to sell on FOMO. That's my take. But anyway, we've been there. So no more discussion on that. I just gave you an introduction on this. You can form your own opinion, read through the source code, play around with it if you want. Or just be like, well, that seems like a useless thing. I just won't interact with it, which is fair game. Congratulations to you if you managed to do that. I certainly did not. I FOMO'd in and made a video right after it came out, just to provide you with good content, or at least content, because that's what an influencer does. You know what else an influencer does? Tell you to like and subscribe and watch other videos, and then I'll see you in the next one, where I'm hopefully gonna be not talking about yet another NFT or asset standard. Good night.